Pause right where you are before moving to the next distraction, because heaven is placing a loving boundary in your path at this exact second. This pause is not meant to deny your worth, question your calling, or delay your future, but to halt an unseen detour that will cost you deeply. If you gloss over what this message is carrying, the urgency you feel right now is not generated for an algorithm. It exists because on the other side of these few quiet moments lies a crossroad that will either redefine your entire trajectory or become a quiet regret you carry for years, wishing you had paid attention while the door was open. God has engineered an extraordinary arrangement specifically tailored for you at this exact hour in your story. This is not a vague or general concept. It is a divine sequence where timing, key individuals, and spiritual resources are converging for your advancement. The adversary has recognized this sacred movement and has planted a single, hidden snare directly inside the pathway God prepared. It is crafted to make you either overlook this blessing as something ordinary or flee from it under the false impression of danger. Most chosen souls are not derailed by glaring, obvious trials. They are quietly pulled away by familiar, emotional reactions that they do not even realize are decisions when they happen. A true divine setup is not a test to prove your value, nor is it a trap set by God to see if you stumble. While your spirit will grow through it, this moment is a sacred mechanism designed to transition you into higher authority. When chosen ones look back at these pivotal intersections, they identify them as the exact moment where everything shifted, the clear line between who they were before and who they became after. These arrangements do not always look grand. They often arrive disguised in simplicity, a quiet conversation, a subtle choice, or a message received on an ordinary day. Their power is revealed in their downstream impact, contrasting the life-changing momentum of full engagement with the lingering flatness of walking away. When you step through what heaven has prepared, you unlock an authority in your next season that could never be accessed anywhere else. Understanding this, the enemy attempts to steal what can only be received by passing through this specific doorway, hiding the trap within the very movement God is leading. To help you navigate this, we must unpack the 5 distinct shapes. This trap takes inside your divine alignment, so you can recognize the one you have actually lived through. The first shape is the dismissive glance of familiarity. This occurs when God's setup arrives in plain packaging without sudden lightning flashes, overwhelming emotional high, or dramatic confirmation. It feels like something you have crossed paths with before. An unexciting door opening quietly without the weight you expected. The subtle lie whispers that if heaven were truly in this, you would feel an undeniable emotional charge. Consequently, you step through halfway, present in body but distant in heart, letting the depth of the moment slip past unreceived. The second shape is the redirect of past wounds. This is an extraordinarily precise attack where the enemy taps on a recent scar. The last time you trusted a path that looked like this and ended up feeling exposed or abandoned. Rather than arguing against God, the adversary simply points at your old pain and whispers that history will repeat itself. Out of a logical desire to protect your heart, you draw back from the edge of your breakthrough, mistaking a lingering trauma response for spiritual discernment. The third shape is the distortion of timing. Heaven operates in steady layers, building a divine foundation step by step. Here the trap introduces a rush of false panic, suggesting that if God were truly moving, things would happen much faster. Prompted by this pressure, you either abandon the process because it seems stagnant, or you force outcomes prematurely, breaking the gentle rhythm required for the promise to mature. The fourth shape is the deceptive substitute. This is perhaps the most insidious trap because it mimics a true answer. Just before your divine assignment matures, a passable version appears. a relationship, an opportunity, or a platform that arrives before your character is fully anchored. It satisfies your immediate hunger, relieving the spiritual tension required to carry you into the genuine promise, leaving you unready when the true door opens. The fifth shape is the intellectual interrogation. The moment the alignment presents itself, your mind is flooded with logical and theological doubts. You begin asking who confirmed this was God. Whether you are simply indulging in wishful thinking or reminding yourself of others who were mistaken, this tactic specifically targets mature, discerning souls by turning their commitment to truth against them, making them step away from heaven's setup feeling responsible and cautious, rather than realizing they just surrendered their moment. Every divine setup requires a heart posture of undefended openness to fulfill its purpose, and that exact state of receptive peace is what the enemy seeks to disrupt. Consider the ancient account of Elisha and his servant in Dothan. When a surrounding army encompassed their city, the servant was overcome with panic. Both men stood in the exact same location, looking at the exact same physical reality. Yet Elisha remained utterly peaceful, asking God to open the young man's eyes. Suddenly, the servant saw horses and chariots of fire filling the hills. God did not create those spiritual forces in response to Elisha's prayer. They were already present in the room. The prayer did not summon the army. It opened the servant's internal capacity to perceive what was already surrounding them. His fear had contracted his vision, leaving him blind to the mountain of divine protection standing in his midst. Heaven's provision, timing, and resources are already positioned in your midst, waiting not for your perfection, but for your internal capacity to receive them. When chosen ones miss these moments, it is rarely due to a lack of devotion. It is often the result of prolonged internal pressure and stress that alters how your mind processes deep spiritual truths. When a soul carries continuous burdens, the analytical side of the mind becomes hyperactive and protective, while the quiet, intuitive side that perceives God's subtle moves becomes faint. You experience a moment of profound spiritual certainty, only for it to evaporate minutes later under a cloud of overthinking. This fluctuation is not a sign of broken faith. It is a natural response to long-term weariness. When your inner state is continuously guarded, the initial spiritual clarity you receive gets overwritten by analytical noise. Before you can act upon it, reflect on the story of a devoted woman named Rachel. She spent years preparing her heart, breaking old habits, and seeking God faithfully. When her divine opportunity finally arrived, it did not match her expectations. It required her to step into an unexpected space alongside people she did not anticipate God using because it felt unglamorous and lacked external validation. She dismissed it as familiar and questioned its legitimacy. The moment quietly drifted past. Months later, she realized what had been offered and experienced a deep, gentle grief, not over a lost blessing in general, but over that specific, beautiful alignment that was lost in its original form. She shared that in the quiet moments following that event, her soul kept reaching back toward the initial, peaceful knowing she felt in the first few minutes, before her analytical mind dismantled it. That internal reach was her spiritual intuition, trying to honor what her overthinking had dismissed. To break this cycle, you must cultivate 3 simple spiritual habits to recognize heaven's movement in real time. The first habit is the sacred pause of stillness. Whenever a new decision or path presents itself, commit to 30 seconds of absolute quiet before analyzing, asking for advice, or making a judgment. This brief silence allows your entire spirit and mind to register the truth of the moment. Before your analytical guard takes over, it creates a holy space where deep peace can offer its wisdom. The second habit is keeping a spiritual signal journal. The moment you feel a quiet, undeniable impression from God, write it down immediately in its raw form, before your mind attempts to reframe or doubt it. Documenting these initial moments builds a permanent record of God's guidance that your future doubts cannot rewrite. The third habit is adopting an absolute posture of divine expectation. Shift your focus from worrying whether you are being deceived to actively expecting God's hand in your current sequence of events. When you trust that heaven is working, your awareness expands to notice the subtle open doors around you. As we stand in this moment of quiet realization, take a moment to confirm your place in this divine movement. Here at Jesus Spiritual Signs, we are dedicated to helping chosen souls recognize heaven's voice amidst the noise of the world. If you recognized which of the 5 traps has attempted to hold you back in your journey, go to the comments right now and write down the number or type "I see it clearly." Let this be your declaration that you are no longer stepping into old patterns of doubt. Tap the like button on this video as a physical sign of your spiritual commitment to stay alert and open. Be sure to subscribe to Jesus Spiritual Signs and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the precise spiritual guidance crafted to keep you aligned with your higher calling. Share this message with another chosen soul in your life who may be standing inside their own divine moment right now, so they too can break free from confusion. Your breakthrough is alive. The arrangement of God remains in place, and you now carry the clarity needed to walk into your promise with complete peace.